Hello dear students, welcome back to the biology online class. So in the previous video we have studied about the definitions of reproduction, lifespan, the types of reproduction, the stages of life cycle, the groups of plants based on the lifespan and the groups of animals based on the breeding season and about the reproductive cycles. Then under events of sexual reproduction, we have learnt about the first event, that is about the pre-fertilization event. Now this video, it is a continuation of the first chapter, that is reproduction in organisms. So during pre-fertilization event, it includes two main stages. They are gametogenesis and gamete transfer, right? So during gametogenesis, what happens? The gametes are produced, and if the parent body is haploid, for the formation of gametes, it requires mitosis division because the gametes are haploid cells. But if the parental body is diploid, then for the process of formation of gametes, it requires meiosis cell division. Okay, and the cell which the diploid cell which produce the haploid gametes by meiosis is called as meiocyte. So meiocyte is nothing but the gamete mother cell which produces the haploid gametes by meiosis. Is that clear? So in this slide I have given the chromosome number in meiocytes and gametes of some of the organisms. So gamete is haploid whereas meiocyte is diploid, and this meiocyte, it is also called as gamete mother cell. In human beings, the chromosome number in meiocyte is 46 and in gamete it is 23. In housefly, the chromosome number in meiocytes is 12 and in gametes it is 6. In rat, the diploid number is 42 and the haploid number is 21. In dog, the diploid number is 78 and the haploid number is 39. Cat, meiocytes having 38 chromosomes and gametes are having 19 chromosomes. Fruit fly, it has 8 chromosomes in meiocytes and 4 chromosomes in gametes. In Ophioglossum, 1260 chromosomes are present in meiocytes, whereas in gametes it contains 630 chromosomes. Apple, in meiocytes 34 chromosomes and in gametes 17 chromosomes. Rice possesses 24 chromosomes in meiocytes and 12 chromosomes in gametes. The maize plant possesses 20 chromosomes in meiocytes and 10 chromosomes in gametes. Potato contains 48 chromosomes in meiocytes and 24 chromosomes in gametes. Butterfly contains 380 chromosomes in meiocytes and 190 chromosomes in gametes. And onion has 16 chromosomes in meiocytes and 80 chromosomes in gametes. Okay, is that clear? Okay. So during gametogenesis, what happens is the male gametes need a medium to move towards the female gametes for fertilization. And in most of the organisms, the male gamete is motile and the female gamete is stationary. So stationary means it is constant. In some fungi and algae, both types of gametes are motile. In simple plants, gamete transfer takes place through water medium. To compensate the loss of male gametes, During transport, large number of male gametes are produced. In seed plants, pollen grains carry the male gametes and ovule carries the egg, that is the female gamete. And pollen grains are transferred to the stigma during the process called pollination. And this pollination helps in transfer of pollen grains to the stigma of a flower. So these are about the first event of sexual reproduction. Coming to the second event, which is nothing but fertilization. So fertilization means it is the fusion of gametes, fusion of male and female gametes to form a zygote, and this zygote is diploid. The fertilization is also called as syngamy. So syngamy means, syn means fusion, gamy means gametes. So if the male and female gametes are fused together, then the process is called as syngamy or fertilization. In rotifers, honeybees, and in some lizards, birds, etc., female gamete develops to new organisms without fertilization. So here the fertilization process is entirely absent and the female gamete directly develops into the new individual, and this process is called as parthenogenesis. This is important. So parthenogenesis means in some individuals the female gamete it directly develops into new individual. Okay. Coming to the types of fertilization, it involves two main types, external fertilization and internal fertilization. The fertilization occurs in the external medium, that means the zygote is formed outside the body, then the type of fertilization is called as external. For example, in most of the aquatic organisms, external fertilization takes place. Whereas internal fertilization means if the fertilization takes place inside the body of the organism, then it is called as internal fertilization. For example, in terrestrial organisms. In this, the non-motile egg is formed inside the female body to where the motile male gamete reaches and fuses. So external fertilization means here the fusion of the male and the female gametes takes place outside the body of the organism. Whereas in internal fertilization, the fusion of male and female gametes takes place within the body of the female organisms. Coming to the third event of sexual reproduction, that is post-fertilization event. The events after the formation of gamete. So during fertilization, what happens? The gametes are fused. The male and the female gametes are fused. As a result of this, a diploid structure is formed, which is called as zygote. Now, the events after the formation of zygote is called as post-fertilization events. The development of zygote, it depends on the type of life cycle of the organism and the nature of environment. In fungi and algae, the zygote develops a thick wall that is resistant to the desiccation and damage. And it undergoes, after the formation of a zygote, this zygote undergoes a period of rest before germination. In organisms with haplontic life cycle, zygote divides by meiosis into haploid spores that grow into haploid individuals. That means the zygote is diploid, right? So if the parental body is haploid, then this zygote undergoes meiosis. So after meiosis, what happens? The spores are produced and these spores are haploid. Okay, now this haploid spore later on develops into haploid individual. The sexually reproducing organisms begin life as a zygote. Zygote develops into an embryo. So after the formation of zygote, the first event is nothing but the formation of embryo. And the process of development of an embryo from the zygote is called as embryogenesis. Once again, I'll repeat. The process of development of an embryo from the zygote is called as embryogenesis. During embryogenesis, the zygote undergoes cell division and cell differentiation. This is very, very important. So during embryogenesis, two processes takes place. They are cell division and cell differentiation. The cell division increases the number of cells in the embryo. So embryo is nothing but it is a multicellular structure, whereas zygote is a unicellular structure. So now this zygote undergoes cell division. As a result of this, it increases the number of the cells in the embryo. After cell division, cell differentiation takes place, and this cell differentiation causes modification of groups of cells into various tissues and organs to form an organism. Okay, now during a post fertilization event, what happens is the zygote is formed. Okay, and this zygote is formed by the fusion of male and female gamete. Now after the formation of zygote, this zygote undergoes division because zygote is a single cell structure. Now as a result of cell division, this single cell structure gets converted into a multicellular structure. That multicellular structure is called as the embryo. And this process of formation of embryo from the zygote is called as embryogenesis. Okay, so the events or the major steps which takes place during the embryogenesis are cell division and cell differentiation. So cell division, it increases the number of cells, whereas cell differentiation, it causes the modifications of groups of cells into various tissues and organs to form an entire organism. So these are about the events of sexual reproduction. Moving on to the last topic of this chapter, that is the groups of animals based on the place of zygote development. Based on the place of zygote development, the animals are grouped into two types. They are oviparous animals and viviparous animals. What is the meaning of oviparous animals? Here, the animals lay fertilized or unfertilized eggs. If the animals lay fertilized or unfertilized eggs, then the group of animal is called as oviparous. For example, in reptiles and birds, the fertilized eggs covered by hard calcareous shell are laid in a safe place. After incubation, young ones hatches out. Whereas viviparous animals means here the zygote develops into a young one inside the female body. Later, the young ones are delivered out of the body. For example, most of the mammals. And because of proper care and protection, the chances of survival of young ones are greater in viviparous animals. So in this picture, you can observe you can see the differences between the oviparous and viviparous animals. So oviparous animals are nothing but the egg-laying animals. They are also called as egg-laying animals. Whereas viviparous animals, they give birth to the young ones. So these are the groups of animals based on the development of zygote, whether it is inside or outside the body of the organism. And that's about the topic. Hope you all understood the class. Thank you.